All right, story time. And, I'm not a stand-up comedian. As a matter of fact, there is one in the house that is much better at telling jokes than I am. I'm not looking at anyone particularly. But I'm going to tell a couple of jokes. And if you don't laugh, it means that I'm pretty bad at it. I get it. I won't take it personal. I like the jokes. I like British humor particularly. Yes, it's a bit dry. They always play with words a little bit in some ways. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to tell you a couple of jokes. Hopefully we will get the gist of it. Do you know those good news, bad news jokes? Yeah? I'm going to give you a couple of them. See, the guy's in the hospital with 2 broken legs. Maybe you heard this one already. The nurse comes in and tells him that there's good news and there's bad news. The guy asks for the bad news first. Let's start with the bad news first.
Yeah.
So the nurse says, well, we're going to have to remove your legs. And the man asks, okay, so what is the good news? Well, you know the guy that's laying over there, he wants to buy your sneakers. A doctor comes to a patient. It's like, listen, I have good news and I have bad news. So like, okay, well, start with the good news. Like, okay, I don't know how to say this. It's good news, but you only have 24 hours to live. So the man thinks like, okay, so what is the bad news? Like, well, I forgot to tell you yesterday. These are classic ones, right? Right. Are you in for a good pastor joke? I will make no fun of myself. Are you in for that?
Yes.
All right. The good news. Church attendance rose significantly the last 3 weeks. The bad news. The pastor was on vacation. What about this one? What about this one?
Love that one.
Just don't tweet it or put it anywhere on Facebook and you'll all be fine. Right? Good news! The church board accepted my job description the way I wrote it. Bad news. They are now so inspired they even formed a search committee to find somebody capable to fill the position. Alright. I'm going to expand now a little bit. Try to follow me. Alright, I'm going to read it. This one is quite something. I'm going to read it here. A certain man told his friend that his brother was working to get his pilot's license. His friend said, "Oh, that's great!" "No, it wasn't great because the engine caught fire." "Oh, that's terrible," said his friend. No, it wasn't terrible because he had a parachute." "Oh, that's good," answered his friend. No, it wasn't good because the parachute didn't open." "Oh, that's awful," said his friend. No, it wasn't so bad because he had an emergency parachute." Oh, well, that's not too bad then after all." No, it wasn't so good because that one didn't open either." "Oh, that's really bad." So, where am I? You see, I shouldn't be a stand-up comedian at all. But then he said, okay, no, it wasn't so bad because he landed on a haystack. A stack full of hay. "Oh, that's great," said the friend. "No, that's not so great because there was a pitchfork sticking up out of the hay." "Oh, that's terrible," said the friend. No, not really. He missed the pitchfork." "Oh, that's good." No, it wasn't good. He missed the haystack." I don't know about you. Who has a good sense of humor? Be honest, just raise your hand. Who likes this kind of humor? Sometimes a bit sarcastic, perhaps, or like playing on words a little bit. Yeah. News. Good news, bad news. News is hardly ever that neutral. I mean, sure, sometimes we get news and either good or bad. But if you turn on the news, it's often either good news or bad news. And maybe 8 out of 10 times, it's not so good news, it's bad news. Alright? So in some ways, news has to be quantified. We need to say something about it. Some news is good, and some news is not so good. So last week, maybe you remember that lesson, we were reflecting a little bit upon the good news, and I shared a couple of distortions, things that had some truth in it, but there was also a lot of it that wasn't really true. And because it wasn't true, it didn't also sound very much like good news. It sounded more like bad news, right? So today, I would like to reflect a little bit more upon the good news, but then from the other side of the equation. In order for you to understand the good news, you also need to understand what? The bad news. Exactly. But before we do that, I would like to stop also the story part in that sense. We're going to first think about what it means to be a human being. What does it mean to be human? And here's where I stop the story part, and we're going to reflect upon that